Welcome back. Some 2 minutes past 10 p.m. Definitely your weekly dose of matters environmental conservation. It is time for Green Fix. We'll be taking a look at what is happening locally as well as internationally when it comes to environmental conservation. And we start off with our world, the segment. The Kenya Forest Service has embarked on an ambitious tree planting campaign in the Mau Forest's Logoman block, Njoro, Nakuru County. The initiative targets planting at least 20,000 seedlings in the ongoing short rains as part of the broader Vision 2030 plan to achieve 15 billion trees nationwide. Uniquely, the project incorporates residents in both tree planting and forest conservation, ensuring the community also benefits through the Shamba system. Mike Yalo produced this particular report. Take a look. Since the official reintroduction of the Shamba system in Kenya, a land use model where farmers cultivate crops alongside tree seedlings in designated forest areas, the Logoman block of the Mau Forest has witnessed a remarkable transformation.
Hii ni himizo ambazo tuko nayo kwa wananchi wote ambao katika Kenya hii wako na hiyo nafasi na wanapewa mashamba walime, watunze hiyo miti ambao watakuwa wamepanda, na kwa hiyo njia waweze hata kupata manufaa kwa chakula na hata waweze kupata rasilimali na waweze kupata chakula na of course waweze kupata pesa ambayo watapata kutoka kwa mauzo yao.
The forest is flourishing, with the first batch of planted seedlings now maturing into healthy trees, as locals continue to cultivate land while nurturing the forest cover.
Wakati tunapanda miti, kila siku huwa tunapatiwa Shamba system. Sasa tunafaitika pale ndani. Wakati tunafaitika pale ndani, mimi na shiba, miti inakuwa, serikali inapata yao, si tunapata yetu.
Miti ni kama maisha, huleta mvua. Miti huleta, yani miti tu usaidia kabisa. Miti ni kila kitu, huenda ikawa ni dawa. Sasa this time round tutakuwa tunachunga miti. This time hakuna kujezea miti.
Beyond climate action, aligned with the 15 billion trees Vision 2030, the project brings on board community forest association members who benefit from beekeeping, farmland, grazing grounds, firewood and access to medicinal herbs while actively protecting the forest.
Logoman Forest ni kati ya zile misitu ambazo zilikuwa kidogo zimeingiliwa na kuharibiwa kidogo na wananchi, lakini toka wakati tulipobuni CFA ambapo ni Community Forest Association tumeweza kurecover na tumeweza kurehabilitate over 300 hectares of the degraded areas.
Tumenufaika kwa vitu vingi, haswa kwa hii mazingira ambayo tunailinda, na shukuru wenyeji wa hapa, manake wamejitoa kabisa kulinda msitu, wamejua maana ya mazingira ni nini. Kwanza tunapata mvua hapa karibu kila siku kwa sababu mazingira yetu ni mzuri. Ng'ombe, mifugo wanapata mahali pa kukula sababu mazingira ni mazuri.
Community Forest Association members also act as watchdogs of the Mau Forest, helping bridge the shortage of Kenya Forest Service officers on the ground.
Tuko na Community Forest Scouts na maaskari wetu wanafanya kazi pamoja na wao ili kutunza hiyo miti. Tuko na areas zingine sasa, tuko na program ya kuweka fencing ya misitu ambayo tuko nayo ili kwamba idhibiti ile hali ya hiyo misitu ambayo tuko nayo. Of course tuko na hata wale washikadau wengi, tuko na system tunaita adoption of forest. Kama wewe ni mshikadau ama ni mdhamini, tunakubaliana tunakupatia idea fulani ambayo unapanda miti huko na unatunza kwa muda wa miaka 3 ili kwamba ukitoka hapo itakuwa imefanya kazi sawa.
Tunaendelea kulinda hii msitu na tumepanda miti, hata unaonekana ile tumepanda huko imekuwa miti kubwa na ametusaidia hata kuambua sasa wakati huu vana mbaya amekuwa mazuri. Sasa hiyo tunasema shukrani tena kwa KFS, KFS ndio anatusaidia, tunasaidiana pamoja kupanda miti na community.
And in a bid to further promote tree planting, the Kenya Forest Service has announced the availability of free seedlings to Kenyans keen on agroforestry or personal conservation efforts.
Na tuko na nasari za miche kila pahali, na mwananchi akitaka ataweza kutembelea nasari zetu, aweze kuongea na maafisa wetu na ataweza kupatiwa huduma ambayo inahitajika ili tuweze kusaidiana hii kazi pamoja na tuweze kukitimiza wajibu na hii hadi ya serikali. Mwito wa mwaka huu wa mambo ya pazi mwa miti ni mambo ya miche bilioni 15, kazi yetu, urithi wetu, kwa sababu tukitaka upanzi wa miti na ukuzaji wa miti iwe ni kitu ambacho itatupatia ajira.
Target yetu ilikuwa tupande hectares 87. Kwa wakati huu tumepitisha na hectare kadhaa kwa sababu tumepanda 127 hectares bila kuhesabu ya leo.
Miti ikikosekana area hii yetu hii, ama miti inapokosa, huwa tunaona hasara kubwa sana. Lakini wakati wa mvua huwa tunapata faida kwa miti, kwa sababu hii miti ikipandwa inatupatia hewa mzuri, inatuletea afya nzuri. Hata ukiingia ndani unajisikia kweli uko safi ama uko sawa.
Right, and remember, this isn't something that just isn't happening in the Mau forest. It's happening across the different parts of the country where the Kenya Forest Service, KFS, is partnering with Community Forest Association, CFAs, to ensure that where you stay in that particular community, there are trees being planted. So make sure that you ask your chief and your areas around there. Is there Community Forest Association where I stay? From our world, let's take a look at our green warrior this particular day. And the clothing industry globally represents an important part of economies with a value of about 1.3 trillion US dollars and employing millions of people. However, as the fashion sector continues to boom, it comes with negative environmental impacts that the industry is responsible for. So get this, the fashion industry is the second biggest consumer of water and is responsible for about 2 to 8% of global carbon emissions. In Kenya, sustainable fashion is slowly becoming a growing trend, but are consumers ready for this change? On this week's episode of Green Warriors, we talk to Zia Bet, who is the CEO and founder of Zia Africa. Take a look.
So Zia, thank you so much for talking to us. We appreciate your time and we absolutely love what we're seeing here with Zia Africa. So how exactly did Zia Africa begin and how did you decide to move on to sustainability? So what was your inspiration behind becoming 100% sustainable?
Well, having been in business for about 10 years, I had this reflection or aha moment where I just thought, okay, we've been in business for 10 years, what more can I do and how can I make my impact on the environment less? And I happened to come to the workshop and just realize how much waste we were having. So instantly I started doing some research on sustainable fashion and saw some ways that we can easily transition into a sustainable fashion brand. Okay. Yeah.
So would you say that there was actually a personal story or connection behind why you ended up going 100% sustainable?
So my first order of business when I decided to make this transition was to source a local manufacturer that farms the cotton locally, grows it here, and also carries out ethical production. Mm-hmm. So I began introducing cotton fabrics, and then we also transitioned into a pre-order model, which is why we have struggled to get clothes to hang up, because all the clothes that you see here are orders. So customers order online and then we make the clothes. So made to order, we can customize the length, which is also something really exciting our customers like. And also we have reduced our waste significantly by introducing that model. We don't have dead stock and we don't overproduce. Yeah. Secondly, we have a baby line, which we have right there. That is Dahlia. So this dress is called Eco Chic. Once we cut this dress, we have offcuts and we make such pieces which we sell at our village market store and online. And it's really exciting to just see how much we can do and what such decisions can do to reduce the impact on the environment. Yeah.
So Zia, can you take us through your production process from the moment that you source the materials to the moment a dress or an outfit is produced? What exactly is that process? Maybe you can tell us in details how it goes.
Yeah. So first it starts from designing. So when we're designing, we ensure that we design timeless pieces. Another element of sustainable fashion is ensuring that your clothes are made to last. So when you're designing this dress, can you wear it in 10 years? Can you hand it down to your children? That used to be something that was done previously. These days, because of fast fashion brands, there's wear and tear. Maybe after a few washes, you cannot even wear that piece again or even donate it because it's in such horrible condition. So starting with designing timeless pieces that can last a long time.
Okay.
Then we have our e-commerce website, theafrica.com. Our customers order from there. We cut also ethically, ensuring that all waste is used well. And then we have the stitching, which is done with good quality. We take our time to ensure that everything is stitched well to as close to perfection as possible. And then the quality control. So quality control is also important, again, in ensuring that the garments are going to last long. Yeah. So we don't want you to shop every 2 months or every 3 months. We want you to shop less, but good quality. Yeah.
And where would you say Zia Africa is placed in the Kenyan market? You know, because we do know that it's very hard to stay sustainable and make a profit. Would you say that you have started making a profit and, you know, you're breaking even now?
Well, I'd like to say we're profitable. It's been a long journey, slow but sure. As mentioned, I've been in business for 10 years and we've been sustainable for 2 years, so now 12 years. We only started breaking even during the pandemic. Yeah, so it's actually interesting because whereas people thought the pandemic was, you know, terrible for businesses, and it was for maybe those in the service industry, but for us who are predominantly online, that's when we started thriving. People are open to home deliveries and ordering online as well. Yeah.
As Kenyans, we know how trendy thrifting is. These days, everyone wants to go and get something from a thrift store. You know, mitumba, clothes as well are on the rise. What would you say are your thoughts about textiles from the UK and the US that are secondhand?
Okay, I have two interesting opinions.
Okay.
Because aside from sourcing cotton, we also buy from markets. Yeah, so markets like Gikomba, other markets, we use fabrics and see how we can upcycle them. So whereas they do send a lot of rejects, which is unfortunate because you buy a thrift item, maybe it's very cheap, it's 100 bob or 20 bob, and you're like, okay, maybe I can go home and wear this. You reach home, it's torn on one side, you're not going to fix it. Most times it ends up in the landfill. So I don't support them sending unusable clothes.
Okay. Because it ends up being waste.
It ends up being waste, right? And right now, I think annually we waste at least 91 million tons of clothes, which is equivalent to 61 million cars, the weight of 61 million cars. So that is madness if you try and picture that. And for us at Zia Africa, it's just trying to ensure that we as Zia Africa are reducing our impact on the environment and also educating our consumers as to why they need to be sustainable. And hopefully our competitors follow suit. So yeah, there's those two opinions I have. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Have there been moments as an entrepreneur and of course as a founder of a 100% sustainable fashion business where getting profit and being sustainable clash and you don't know what to choose and which way to go?
So funny you asked that because when we first transitioned into sustainability, our consumers kind of took a backseat the first month. So I was like, oh my God, have I made the worst mistake of my career? And eventually they all came back and we also attained new customers who actually cared about sustainability. We opened at Village Market, which is where we're located. And so many of our customers learned about us then and still come every so often to just check, you know, what's new. they even come and repair their clothes years after, yeah, which you offer that as a service as well, because we really do want your clothes to last. So it was a test. It was a test, but we made it through.
Nice.
Yeah.
So Zia, you know, we've been doing a lot of research about your brand, and we know that you're very big on empowering women and empowering communities, as well as making an impact on the climate and the current situation that we're going through in the country, not just the country, in fact, globally. We have climate change, we have global warming. But when it comes to empowering women, we know that you're working with women in Makueni County. Tell us more about that.
So I'm actually really passionate about women empowerment. And we do this in two ways. So first, we have a program in my home county, Nandi County, where we train tailors, local tailors, and employ them. They actually produce for our village market store and some online orders. And then in partnership with Tosheka Textiles, they actually already have a group of women who hand weave cotton, and they help us with our Zia home line. So we make things like aprons, oven mittens, and table mats. We're soon introducing robes and other things. So I believe social impact is also just as important as sustainability.
Yes.
And also creating employment. Entrepreneurs, I think, contribute to 70% of employment. So, yeah, just ensuring that women are fending for themselves, are creating a livelihood, and are growing as well. Yeah. Okay. So we also do some financial literacy courses where we have some ladies from Centonomy who come and just train them. Okay, so you have a salary, but how do you plan your salary? How can you grow your wealth? And these are things that they might have never learned anywhere else. Yeah. So just ensuring that they don't live here the same way that they came.
Okay.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Lovely
Thank you.
Hear. Right. So what would you say has been the impact that Zia Africa has had in Kenya when it comes to the Kenya fashion industry?
Well, for one, I'd say since 2023, we have reduced our environmental carbon footprint by at least 50%. What? Yeah. Oh, hey.
Well done.
Yeah, and it's just from doing things like Dahlia off-cuts baby line, and also introducing the pre-order model. I remember the December before 2023, we had so much dead stock from Christmas because, you know, you're like, Christmas, guys are going to buy, and we overproduced. In January, you're left with millions of clothes. You're wondering, now how do I tell guys to wear a red shimmery dress in January? Yeah, so that was also an aha moment, and I'm glad that we made decisions that significantly have lowered our impact on the environment.
Okay.
Yeah.
And since we are talking about the Kenyan fashion industry, still on that, what do you think is the current status when it comes to Kenyan fashion being sustainable? Do you think that there's some growth? Do you think that people are now more aware? Or do you think that there's still a long way to go before people start being sustainable as consumers of fashion?
I think there's some growth. I really do think there's some growth. Even just comparing to when we transitioned in 2023, I've seen more sustainable brands coming up. I've had our customers speaking more about sustainability in a way that they weren't a few years ago. And I think people are more receptive towards hearing about sustainable fashion. And I'm always happy to see when a new brand comes up and they're doing something amazing that's impactful. Okay. Yeah.
Brilliant. Zia, it's amazing to see your growth because 5 years ago, you know, I remember that you were not sustainable. You started 5 years ago and you went on to this journey to become 100% sustainable. And here we are talking 5 years later. And now in the next 5 years, what are some of your dreams, your vision for Zia Africa, you know, in terms of your growth? And is there something that you want to achieve?
Well, I have a vision of creating employment for 1,000 tailors by 2040. Wow.
Manifesting!
Yes, we are manifesting. So hopefully we're halfway to that, just creating employment for women tailors. Secondly, I'd like to continue shipping worldwide and, you know, sharing about creating awareness on sustainability. I'd also like to have grown from here. Possibly the next time you come will be at a go down or in a warehouse. So just scaling slowly but responsibly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Zia. We love the fact that you sat here and, you know, we just had a very wholesome conversation about your fashion brand that is 100% sustainable. That's Zia Africa. So yeah, keep up the good work. And of course, that wraps up today's conversation with Zia Bet, the founder of Zia Africa, that is a 100% sustainable fashion brand here in Kenya. So yes, if you would like to see such people who are really making a difference into the world, and of course here in the country who are 100% sustainable, they're passionate about the environment and going green, do let us know. We'd love to hear from you. You can find us on all social media platforms at TV47 Kenya. You can also look for me at Shiksha Arora. Nominate someone, or if you're somebody who is sustainable, talk to us. We'd love to host you in the upcoming episodes of Green Warriors right here on Green Fix, only on TV47. Until next time, I am Shiksha Arora signing out.
And we start off climate news this week by informing you of the latest weather forecast between the 19th to the 25th of August 2025. So ladies and gentlemen, according to the Kenya Meteorological Department, rainfall will be received in several parts of the country, especially the Central Highlands, Western and Northwestern Kenya. The weatherman, however, notes that the rainfall intensity will likely reduce as the week progresses. Also, the forecast of the weatherman shows that the intermittent cold and cloudy conditions are likely to be experienced over the parts of Central Highlands, Western Kenya, the Southwestern Lowlands and the Rift Valley. Meanwhile, across much of northeastern Kenya, maximum daytime temperatures are expected to be above 30 degrees Celsius. On the other hand, nighttime average temperatures of below 10 degrees Celsius will be expected in parts of the Central Highlands, Central Rift Valley and the near Mount Kilimanjaro. Right, and now in the heart of Kenya's world-renowned Masai Mara, stakeholders are celebrating a major environmental win. As the reporter Faith Wangari highlights, the government's conservation efforts in the Masai Mara forest, once under serious threat, are now being credited with reviving river flows and supporting the region's very, very delicate ecosystem. Take a look.
Stakeholders in Masai Mara have praised the government for conserving the Masai Mara forest, a key water catchment once threatened with destruction. Bushcamps Anthony Tira noted rising river volumes since the efforts began at the state to protect the forest, a vital source of the Mara River that sustains the Masai Mara and Serengeti parks.
Ukiona hapa Masai Mara kwa Kenya iko na maana sana, inaleta pesa mingi sana kwa hii industry ya tourism. Sasa mpaka tuchunge Mara River ecosystem, kuanzia msitu ya Mau mpaka Serengeti ecosystem.
The issue of Mau forest should be protected. It is a very good thing. It is really good for sustainable tourism, because us working here in the Mara, we have been observing that the Mau forest is one of the source of the Mara River, and we have been experiencing a consistent kind of a thing, good thing, because the rain is here, and I will recommend that we need to protect the Mau forest.
His sentiment was echoed by Caleb Moriasu, a local tour guide in the Mara, who emphasized the forest's contribution to sustaining biodiversity and tourism in the region. The positive feedback from both local stakeholders and international tourists reinforces the importance of continued conservation efforts to protect Kenya's natural heritage and boost sustainable tourism.
We've seen 15 to 20 different animal species in only 3 days, which is really cool and exciting.
We're waiting for the wildebeest to cross over the river. Hopefully that'll happen. Yesterday we saw a serval. Cat was beautiful, like a small cheetah. And then we saw 2 lions that had just eaten big male lions, and they were sleeping. And then we waited, and then they woke up. And they wandered around. We got to see them and get real close to them because they were still kind of sleepy.
It's been an amazing experience. The Masai Mara, we saw a lot of animals, and the people from here, it's really nice, and it's been the most of, I came here for a honeymoon, and it's been an amazing experience.
We are very happy to be here. We just arrived yesterday, and it's been a really amazing experience.
As conservation efforts continue to breathe new life in the Masai Mara forest and its surrounding ecosystems, the Masai Mara remains not just a symbol of Kenya's natural beauty, but a reminder of what's possible when nature is protected. From rising river levels to unforgettable tourist experiences, the message is clear. Preserving our environment secures both livelihoods and legacy.
Watu wanaambiwangwa mtoke kwa msitu ya Mau. Ni sababu hii mto iende ikwe hakuna maji, Masai Mara itakuwa imeisha, na Serengeti mpaka Congo River.
Faith Wangare, TV47, Nairobi.
Now, despite the growing effects of climate change to the African continent, local communities lack sufficient knowledge to conserve the environment. This is according to researchers and climate experts. According to them, most climatic subjects are often quite complex, and there's a particular need for simplicity. Speaking during the second edition of the Nairobi Town Hall COP, the climate experts further noted that they are prepping to represent the continent's grievances during this year's Conference of Parties COP30, which will be taking place in Belém, Brazil.
And this year in particular, we have a strong focus on the NDCs. Countries that are signed to the Paris Agreement need to submit their revised NDCs at COP30, taking place in Belém in November this year. And Kenya has already published its NDC. And our discussions today are focusing on what the implications of that are for the people at the local government level who need to implement this policy, and the communities that are on the ground that are impacted by this change, and how it can benefit them, what it means for the implementation for them. In terms of how communities are represented on the global scale, organizations like ICLEI, we work to take those voices, the ground level voices, forward to global discussions. We know that local voices are needed in global discussions. We need African voices to shape the global discussions so that our unique challenges and our innovative solutions can be part of the global agenda.
The first one, we made tremendous impact. Yeah, so one of the outputs was we were able to make a direct contribution to the global stocktake that happened in COP28, and then we were also able to produce an original research peer-reviewed journal paper. Aside from that, we had several side events at COP28, sorry. And for this year, we also envision the same. We'll do a paper, we'll present this in the Africa Climate Summit and also in COP30. But beyond that, our vision is to do this at scale. So we started piloting Nairobi. Again, it's one of the priorities of the donors for this event. But we envision that next year we'll host a big COP for Kenya at Uhuru Park and then just bring all the 47 counties on board, have exhibitions, because we realize there's a lot of knowledge, there's a lot of research that happens on ground. There are a lot of initiatives that are being taken, but these don't really get to make it through the global stage. So that's what we aim to do with these events.
And meanwhile, state and non-state actors in the environmental conservation space, led by the Nairobi Rivers Commission, have lauded efforts by local communities to conserve the environment. The stakeholders believe that the local efforts deserve a global recognition during the Africa Climate Summit, as well as the Conference of Parties 30, COP30.
The action point that we are looking forward is to identify some of the critical climate adaptation strategies that then will be linked to the COP30, and ultimately, as Kenyan, we are looking forward to climate, COP31, where we'll be showcasing a high-level transformative program such as Nairobi Rivers Commission, locally, led, empowerment program, and ultimately an adaptation that will then transform not only, the society within, also our neighbors as well.
All right. So, what kind of stakeholders and who should be attending this kind of summit?
80% of the stakeholders we are looking at are youth. Youth because they're the ones who are really, driving a lot of innovation, creativity, and transformation around the climate change. So we are looking forward to inviting 78% of our stakeholders being youth, so that then they will not only participate, but also provide a transformation agenda and also showcase what they have already, innovated, the creative, around the climate change and adaptation.
I want to say that for the first time in the history of Kenya, we have something to showcase. And I want to thank His Excellency the President for taking lead in this. We all know that we host the headquarters of the environment in the world, UNEP, and therefore, as the President says, we cannot keep our rivers in such a polluted state and then claim to actually, be the home to the UNEP offices. So what we are saying is that as we do the river regeneration, we are going to package this for subsequent COP30, COP31, and other world event that will be coming. And we want to demonstrate that as a country, we can do something that can be modeled and being used as a case study in other parts of the world.
Expect that the outcome of this summit will be translated into action on the ground so that we realize our climate goals. So again, this summit will lead to the COP30, which is taking place in Belém, Brazil. So whatever we deliberate here will again be emphasized at COP30 in Belém, Brazil.
I believe many people understand what climate is, and that's why we are here. And if they do, what they know is climate change, climate, kuna baridi leo, there is this, that's what they call climate, according to what we have seen. So we are here to do climate action. Action is actionalizing that part. Someone in Turkana, someone in Kwale, somebody in Ukambani somewhere, someone in Nairobi River or wherever, we need them to understand exactly how climate affects them and what they need to do about it.
Most definitely, and that particular Climate Action Summit is coming up in September, and there are quite a number of these summits coming up. There's that Climate Action Summit coming up in September, and then there's the Africa Climate Summit coming up as well in September. It will be the second edition of the Africa Climate Summit. The first ever happened in Kenya last year, and then the big one, the COP30. So quite a number of environmental activists championing and just eyeing for that particular COP30 to share the grievances to that particular place. To something still involved in the same, in a rapidly changing world, a national debate on education in Kenya has focused on ways to improve the education system to produce better leaders and well-equipped learners. Speakers emphasized the shift from CBC to CBE, which aims to develop practical skills, critical thinking and creativity. Discussions also highlighted the need for increased funding and improved infrastructure to ensure quality education for all. The debate has been described as a critical step in transforming education for both the current and future generations. Susan Locho reports.
A wine glass a day keeps the doctor away.
In a world where every tree, river and breeze matters, the future of our planet rests in the hands of the young generation. This is the vision brought to life at a 5-day environmental camp hosted by the African Wildlife Foundation in partnership with the Green Generation Initiative.
We received more than 5,000 applications from young people across the African continent, and these were applications of solutions and innovations that are being led by young people from the sectors of energy to climate resilience to sustainable agrosystems.
Here, passionate youth explored innovative ways to protect their surroundings and spark a change in their communities.
Earth needs you, and it is waiting for you to start driving the solutions now, because without it, the Earth will simply die.
Dr. Festus Ngeno, the Principal Secretary for Environment and Climate Change, encouraged participants to embrace creativity and leads the change against climate challenges.
As you build your innovations, my challenge to you is that be resilient, be focused, don't be distracted by the naysayers. Because as we have said, the future for the youth is now.
Renowned environmentalists also share their experiences, inspiring the next generation to take action for a greener future.
How do we support young people to be able to move from that stage within them having a startup and being able to scale and have much more impact?
Participants stood out, making a call to fellow youth to remain resilient in the fight for the environment.
I'll tell you to simply start. From what we've learned so far and from my personal experience, I know that all you need is resilience.
The power to protect our planet lies with the youth. With creativity, passion and action, these young leaders are not just dreaming of a greener future, they're building it one initiative at a time. Susan Locho, Greenfix, TV47.
Thank you very much, Susan Locho, for that. Now, Kenya's beekeepers have sounded the alarm over cheap, toxic pesticides that are banned in Europe, but nevertheless still exported to the country by European-based farms, endangering livelihoods and the ecosystem. However, some farmers consider the cheaper options, but at what cost? Take a look.
As night falls in Siaya, local beekeepers brave the rains to check in on the hives. However, they decry that incomes are drying up alongside their hives. Despite the European Union domestic bans, many chemicals are exported to countries with less stringent regulations. According to media reports, tens of thousands of tons of pesticides banned in the bloc are nevertheless produced there and shipped to the global south.
They have killed most of our colony. Out of 24, we got only one beehive which was colonized. So it's very loss. It's a very loss to our production and our project. Our surrounding farmers are using herbicides and pesticides which make the production of honey to be low. So out of one box, we buy at 5,000. 5,000 times 24 is a lot of money. And what we have got today is only 2 liters, 2 kgs.
The Kenyan government has taken measures to regulate the pesticides sold. The Route to Food initiative says 76% of pesticides sold in the country are categorized as highly hazardous pesticides, with 44% of them banned in Europe.
Because we are surrounded with farms, sugarcane farms, some kind of crop farms, the moment the spraying is done using the pesticides, and when our bees come now to go and collect, the nectar from these flowers, they die. It is really hurting to us, the farmers, after making a huge investment like they're spending money with a lot of expectations. Then we end up, because some pesticides being added onto our soils, destroying the bees and everything, it makes us to feel so painful. We go at a loss and we just hate everything.
In recent weeks, over 70 pesticides have been withdrawn from use, over 200 restricted, and over 150 set for review.
Honey production has really decreased, and it has also impacted us as a company negatively, because previously we would supply a large quantity of honey. Pesticides which have been listed as hazardous or dangerous to the environment by our friends from the European countries, we would kindly relook into these, because these are the pesticides which are being sold at a very cheap price in the Kenyan market. So farmers are really craving for them, they are using them, they are affecting the life cycle of the bees, production is really going down. And if care is not taken, you would understand that humanity's survival depends entirely on bees' existence. So in case the bees are out of space, that means our existence is also at stake.
Stanley, Nyaringita, TV47.
Right, from CI, let me take you all the way to the United Kingdom. Some light news here for you, even as we finish up on matters climate news. Now, in a bid to save endangered species globally, the London Zoo conducts an annual weigh-in event where different animal species are weighed in and measured. Now, this year, zookeepers in London were able to weigh more than 10,000 animals of over 400 species. Now, this data will then be added to the Zoological Information Management Systems, as they call it, ZIMS database, where zoos and animal carers from all over the globe can take this particular information from the database and just make sure that they save this endangered species.
Reality is we actually weigh the animals almost every single day, but today's a slightly more formalised process across over 400 species as we can, and log everything onto an international database called ZIMS, the Zoological Information Management System. We then share that information with other zoos globally and with other conservation organisations. It's really important for us to monitor the weights of all our animals. For example, just their general health and well-being is evident through their weight. We might have a pregnant animal that we want to be gaining weight through the process of her pregnancy, a juvenile that we want to be sure is growing at the right pace, and indeed a geriatric animal towards the latter part of its life that we want to make sure is maintaining weight as much as possible. So lots of reasons for us to do it, but then also critically as a conservation organisation we can share that data with so many of our staff overseas working on some critically endangered projects for critically endangered species. They were able to learn so much from that data that we gather here as a scientific organisation and make sure that we do everything we can to protect both those habitats and also the wild cousins of the animals that you see here at the zoo. The biggest animal will be, yet again, she always wins, it's Molly the giraffe. So she'll be weighing in at about 700 kilos. Now at 4 meters, it's not too hard to reach that huge weight. And then straight behind her will be Genghis and Naomi, our 2 Bactrian camels. They'll both be at around the 650 to 680 kilo mark, depending on how much hay they've eaten in the last week. And we then go all the way down to the other end of the spectrum. So a leafcutter ant, for example, weighs just 5 milligrams, but the reality is we just don't have the time to count them all, so we cheat, and we'll be counting a colony of leafcutter ants. The trickiest year on year, always the same, it's the squirrel monkeys. They're as cheeky as all the other monkeys, but with the squirrel monkeys, they're always ahead of us. They realise that there's a tasty treat. So there's been a lot of queue barging, a lot of attempts to get a double weigh-in and a double treat. But the keepers are doing an amazing job, and they will, as always, get a weight for every single squirrel monkey by the end of today. They do a really good job. They're really patient. They're incredibly professional. And the reality is the monkeys, as well as all the animals involved in the weigh-in today, have a great time because everyone gets a small treat, a healthy treat, but it's really nice for the animals and a great opportunity for others to see the same.
And that wraps up Matters Climate News from the United Kingdom and London. Back here in Nairobi. Asante sana for tuning in for Daily Report, as well as Green Fix from around 9 p.m. I'm yours truly, Stanley Nyaringita. Catherine Simaloi has been on the sign language docket. Meet tomorrow morning for Morning Cafe.